Hello. This video is going to be my experience with getting the platinum for Spider-Man 2. This game was one of the most anticipated games of the last few years, and dare I say, the last decade?
You serious?
There was a little bit of controversy with it though. Spider-Man fans are kind of impossible to please and always arguing regardless, but this game specifically invoked a special kind of fury and rage. The discourse started before the game even launched, because all Insomniac showed for it was... This shit was announced in September 2021, and this single image was all we got until May 2023. The game actually launched in October 2023, and believe it or not, the agony only got worse from there. So this is my experience with that. It's a very cheerful start to the game, I know. Just a bit of a disclaimer before we start though, this video is not going to be an analysis or essay of the game, and while I'm going to explain the story details, my focus is the trophies, so I'll loosely follow the story. If this is your first experience with the game, I recommend you either play it yourself or watch a playthrough, because my ass is going to speed through this and I'm only stopping this bus to complain occasionally. Also, one last thing, the way I played this game was absolutely horrible. I'm the kind of person that does side quests as they pop up because I like having them out of the way. This, in my opinion, would be horrible to watch in video format because I just ping from side mission to main mission to side mission to side mission. Because of this, I'm going to try to condense the side stuff a little bit, that way I'm not constantly jumping back and forth. And so, after that very long and poorly structured introduction, let's start the main story. My playthrough started off kind of horrifically because there's this really cool main menu of Harry looking into a green water tank. As soon as you press X, the game starts. No settings, no confirmation, no nothing. Anyway, we start with Harry and Norman Osborn discussing Harry's treatment. In the first game, a document says that he's away in Europe, which is later revealed that he was actually extremely sick with something called Ashtorn syndrome, which is basically a disorder where your organs and immune system don't function properly. It's a little problematic, as you can guess. Norman causes a literal pandemic in the first game, trying to find a cure for it, so this tank is his next attempt at a cure. Harry asks him to basically let him die if what they're about to try doesn't work, and Norman says... After that horrifyingly sick and twisted scene, Peter enters a classroom because he managed to get hired as a physics teacher at Miles' school. I don't really remember him getting a degree to be qualified for this position, but sure, whatever. It starts getting a little sandy outside, but it's probably just the wind, you know. Peter starts explaining his first lesson, which is about surface tension to the class when...
Bathroom? Okay.
Believe it or not, the sand outside was not just the wind, so Peter and Miles jump up to the roof and see Sandman doing Sandman things.
This is the greatest.
After swinging across half of the city and getting to Sandman, neither of them really know what to do, so they just kind of throw random shit at him for a minute. So this is where I actually realized my first mistake with this game, which is playing on the hardest difficulty. I heard this was, in general, a lot harder than the first game, so I thought it'd be a fun challenge. It was not. It mostly just turns the enemies into sponges that you need to punch 50 times to knock out. Moving on, this nosy-ass principal calls Peter asking where he is because his students have no teacher right now. But why would Peter not be... They get Sandman all soggy and then lock him in a giant cat crate. Then we cut to a jungle where someone literally gets killed on screen in the first 10 minutes of the game. Anyway, Kraven the Hunter, this guy, is pissed about it because he wants someone to match or exceed his hunting skill, and he's not going to find that in a jungle, so he thinks it's time for a new jungle. That concludes the first mission, unlocking our first trophy. You're gonna need help for completing the mission, Surface Tension. There's actually a little bit more to do though, because Sandman kind of demolished this area of New York, so of course they gotta be friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and help out.
Oh, brother!
This effect is really cool. The water all over the screen. The Spider-Man's app for people to request help went down in the sandstorm, so they launched their own satellites as a solution for this. Peter literally 3D prints a drone with his web shooters. You know those videos of 3D pens? Apparently his web shooters can do that, I guess. We get the app back up and we're in business. Do the same thing with the drones as Miles and bada bing bada boom. This is the first of the Marco's memory side quest where you essentially beat up some sand guys to retrieve a sand crystal and then collect some memories from, you're not gonna believe this, Flint Marco. The memories reveal that Kraven threatened his daughter and made him go all... because he wanted Sandman to best him. After a few of these, I realized they're actually in the shape of something, which is later revealed to be a statue of him and the aforementioned daughter. I'll come back to this when I finish the last one. For now though, there's a VIP trapped in a limo. Who's the VIP, you ask? Our boy J. Jonah Jameson, baby, let's go! Yes, I did try to see if I can fall head first, but the game said no. Once we safely deliver him to an ambulance, believe it or not, Peter gets fired from the school. Next is another introduction to a side mission, which is basically just taking pictures of certain events or areas in New York like you did in the first game. It's self-explanatory and there's not much to say about them, but this one is two dudes playing Frisbee with a Captain America shield. I did not give a single shit about trying to make these pictures look good, so here's mine. These are pretty whatever. I hate that after every single picture you take, you get a call from a guy Peter used to work with at the Daily Bugle, and he tells you about the picture you just took.
Wait, I heard this guy dips his hot dog buns in tomato juice before eating them. Now, I get that it makes it easy for them to go down, but tomato juice? Brother, that ain't right.
I wouldn't mind, but Mary Jane could be trapped in a car that flipped over into the ocean, and Peter would hang up on her to listen to useless information about the picture he just took of a subway rat. Anyway, with my newfound freedom outside of story missions, I started attempting the Hang 10 trophy, which requires you to do 30 air tricks without touching the ground. I was a little confused because I didn't and still don't know if you can just spam 30 of the same trick or exactly what the requirements are. The way I did it looks like shit, but it got the job done, and that's our second trophy. Woo! To get the next trophy, you just fail an air trick, which in other words means... The next mission introduces suit crafting and the recolors you can craft. Equipping the black and red recolor unlocks our next trophy, Stylish. I heavily focused on these random pop-up crimes way too much because I thought they'd be much more important. They do give you resources, which is nice, but in the first game, they literally make you do like 20 of these per district, and that was a huge pain. I knew they didn't do that again, but subconsciously, when I saw one pop up, I was like,
I don't need it. I don't need it.
During a crime, stopping a crime, I started trying for progress on the Armed and Dangerous trophy, which is for defeating 100 enemies with the iron spider arms. This is another reason I regret playing on the hardest difficulty. I basically had to try to whittle everyone's health down so I could get progress because the attack with the arms needs to be the very last hit, and that kind of sucks on the hardest difficulty. This next mission is about cleaning Peter's house.
I'm just gonna tidy up a bit.
$4,700. A flashback shows that Peter punched a hole in his wall because of J. Jonah Jameson's podcast.
What was that?
I thought I heard a rat in the wall.
You thought you heard a rat? You hear a rat in the walls and you just...
I should go check on MJ.
Check on MJ? What is she, a dog? Or is worried she got into the trash again? Hey, she's good, guys. She didn't rip the curtains down. Then Harry shows up.
So how was Europe?
That's funny because he wasn't in Europe and they all know it. All right, bro. I get the story won't be all chewing ass and kicking bubblegum, but I just finished cleaning my house. Now you're gonna make me ride a bike? Harry takes Peter to their high school, and of course there has to be an entire 20-minute flashback sequence about them trying to get a USB drive from Peter's locker. Norman drops in after they get the USB, somehow knowing Harry is breaking into the school at like 7 p.m. to inform him that his mother has just in fact kicked the bucket. Bruh. The flashback is finally over, and Harry asks Peter to join him in his new environmental startup. Peter says he'll think about it, and Harry says,
"We're gonna heal the world."
That shit looks horrific to type on, I'm not gonna lie to you. Oh yeah, Miles' story in this game is basically just that he wants to kick Martin Lee's ass for killing his dad, and that he needs to finish his college admission essay. That's really it.
Hey Miles, you busy?
Peter and Miles keep watch on a transfer of inmates from the raft, which is Scorpion, Electro, Rhino, you know, the big guys. Obviously, that transfer did not go smooth, and roughly the next 45 minutes are spent. Miles tries to save Scorpion, he gets poked and then falls into the New York River water. His venom starts evolving. This is the correct word because it's literally called evolved venom. We now gain access to one evolved venom attack, and I have to do the same thing as with the iron spider arms, which is try to have my last attack be with the evolved venom 100 times. The river is on fire. All of the villains either get away or get taken by Kraven, believe it or not. It doesn't go well. You just gotta take the L and move on.
Don't leave me hanging. Come on.
So the next thing to do is another side mission introduction, which are called Prowler stashes. So for these, you just need to get tech parts that are stashed away for some reason, which requires scanning the area and moving stuff to a specific angle. I don't really know how else to describe it, but these just give lore on Miles' dad, and that's about it. Then the fire department chief asks for Peter's help because of the shit Sandman pulled. You use a drone to help free trap people in a building until eventually the Wraith shows up. This is literally just Yuri, the police chief from the first game, in a shitty costume. And that's it for that mission. The next main story stop is checking out the Emily May Foundation, which Norman blew his entire tax return setting up. This mission is another walking session. You just check out different departments like bee research, medical research, plant research. It's revealed here that Kurt Connors, the lizard, is responsible for curing Harry. Not important right now, but it may or may not be later. You're not going to believe this, but the next thing to do is an introduction to another side mission, which is basically just replacing the research stations from the first game. It's nothing crazy, but you finish these as basically the very last thing, so again, I'll come back later. Back to the main stuff, someone littering reveals that Kraven has cloaking tech on huge bases, which is kind of a bullshit way to have your extremely advanced tech discovered by Spider-Man, but I don't know. Just a little bit of... And then a short drone chase later, Peter finds, you guessed it, the first of a side mission, which is just a bunch of hunter bases set up around the city. These are basically just the Fisk, Demon Prisoner, Sable bases from the first game, except hunters.
You ain't had to do your hunting.
Hey, this man shit.
Hey, this man just, I don't want to do this no more.
Next, we unlock probably the coolest thing they added, which is a web line. The really cool thing about these is you can literally put them wherever you want, even attaching them to other web lines, which creates an actual web. Peter discovers who Kraven is and finds a room full of shit that implies he's trying to eliminate Scorpion and Martin Lee. Then Kraven literally just bodies Scorpion. He just literally kills him. Scorpion is fucking dead, bro. While processing it and doing a bunch of hunter bases back to back, we unlock a trophy called Slackline for doing 25 stealth takedowns from the web line. It kind of made me sad to unlock it because I felt less motivated to use it. Yes, I'm a little mentally ill. But anyway, Peter asked Miles to warn Black Cat about, you know. She's in the process of trying to steal a wand though. The point of this wand is that it lets you teleport to wherever you want basically. You can just open a portal and go. She pops out of one of said portals and we chase her through a bunch of them. After a bunch of...
Clear.
Miles helps get her to Paris where her girlfriend is. This detail upset a large group of people. And then he keeps the wand for himself so he can use it to find Lee. Oh, what the fuck? Well, Black Cat has been warned because she's in goddamn Paris now, so good job, Miles. Good job, everyone. After that, Genki calls and says to be at Coney Island tonight because Mysterio has a new attraction there, and it could be bad news. But first, on my way, I noticed this baseball field next to it. I knew there was a trophy for running a home run at a specific stadium, so I took a gamble on it being this one, and...
Come on, bro. Don't bro me, bro.
After that, I skedaddled over to the last Sandman side mission, where he asked for the statue made from crystals to be delivered to his daughter. You just leave it on the doorstep, and that's the trophy for that. It's not very eventful. Basically, immediately after, I took the last picture for Robbie, which gets us the New York trophy. I unlock a lot of them in bursts, you'll see later. So back to Coney Island. This is technically the first of a side quest, which are called Mysteriums. Basically, it's just supposed to be a virtual entertainment room where you can live out your dreams. I kind of wish these were a little bit more interactive, like an Until Dawn style thing where you pick answers to certain questions and it'll actually change what you see. This first Mysterium is a bit different though, because you actually get to experience a bit of what it's supposed to be like. They end up getting corrupted and the side missions are spent fixing it. This one's just a rhythm game because Miles wants to be a music producer, which you actually do for quite a bit, and then... Mysterio starts panicking, as you would if you built a death chamber meant to entertain people and it started showing them their deepest subconscious fears.
Definitely concerns me a little bit, you know what I mean?
And after a little bit of scrapping, Miles is spit out of the machine like the cop slide and Mysterio hits him with a...
My fault, OG.
Right after Miles gets, you know. Peter shows up with Harry. This is a cool moment where basically every main character is in one scene. Except my moment was ruined.
Who is it? What? I should kick your fucking ass. Who is it?
Peter and Mary Jane have a cute moment on the Ferris wheel, but of course that shit don't last because here comes the whole circus. The hunters pull a Green Goblin and make Peter choose between saving Tombstone or saving everyone on the roller coaster they just derailed. Peter almost fumbles saving the people on the roller coaster, but Harry himself shows up with the symbiote. This is the moment Harry finds out Peter is Spider-Man also.
Harry! Pete!
They managed to get everyone out safely, except Tombstone, he got kidnapped a little bit. After that, we're introduced to a type of collectible spider bots. These are just little bots that emit a pinging sound and have a big pinkish force field around them. Then I went a little bit back into the Flame storyline. But during this mission, I encountered one of the greatest bugs you've ever seen in your entire life.
Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier, and welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay, maybe not the greatest, but it was funny anyway, so shut your mouth. After that, I did a request on the app, which was put in by Howard.
Oh my god!
He was in the first game, and for this, he just asked you to take his pigeons north after talking a bunch of nonsense for a minute. He calls to make sure they got there okay and then stops responding. When you return to the initial area, there's an ambulance and they tell you Howard did in fact pass away after making sure his pigeons were okay. My nosy ass checked and he's not actually in the ambulance. There's literally nothing in there. Anyway, after finishing that sad ass mission, we unlock a trophy called A New Adventure for helping Howard. After that, we wrap up the Brooklyn Visions missions by receiving a gift, which is a new suit. These missions just consisted of helping with stuff like setting up a homecoming proposal, finding their kidnapped mascot. That's supposed to be a prank, but it's literally just kidnapping. There's no joke anywhere to be found there. After picking up the suit, we unlock our 10th trophy, Brooklyn Pride.
The best.
Back to the main stuff. For some reason, Felicia knows where Tombstone's being held. On my way there, I kind of tried to drown Peter a bit. Unsuccessful in my attempt, Peter arrives at the foundry and goes inside to look for Tombstone. While in another room fighting a group of enemies, there's a lot of that in this game. We unlock the Armed and Dangerous trophy that I was talking about earlier for knocking out 100 enemies with the spider arms.
Not even breaking a sweat.
See you around,
Spider.
Then Miles' mom asks if he's okay, and then she gets a call from someone saying they got locked out of their cultural music preservation museum. It's a weird place to get locked out of. Miles goes to Spider-Man it up because they need this guy's investment or else they'll have to shut it down. The security system shot, so he sends a spider drone in. Weirdly enough, this kind of reminds me of the Curious George game for the original Xbox. That game was special. We get the system back up and do a little bit of... They split the instruments up into trucks, so after committing attempted murder on these 3 guys, probably just trying to provide for their families, the instruments are safe. A second truck's still missing, but you find it later. For now, back to the main stuff. Dr. Connors is missing, so Peter and Harry are trying to find him. They want to find him because Kraven is trying to turn him into the lizard again so he can hunt him. Mary Jane's hiding in one of the hunter vans outside of his house because she was using their computer to try to find data on him. She gets voluntarily accidentally kidnapped and is taken to their base, which is an abandoned zoo all the way in New Jersey. Then they tell you Vulture was killed off screen. They kill most of the villains off screen, which is really ass, but whatever. The problem right now is we need a code for the cage that Connors is in and the key to the shackle they put on his ankle. 1 code and 1 key later, and Connors is free. Oh man, he's right behind me, isn't he? Kraven injects Connors with some Mountain Dew to turn him back into the lizard. Then Peter and Harry show up about 20 seconds too late, so they defend Connors while he tries to make an antidote. Kraven says and takes it before they can. Then Peter fucking dies too. Or at least he would if this wasn't the moment we've all been waiting for. After getting out of there, Harry isn't really feeling the effects of being symbioteless yet, so that's nice. They try to transfer it back to Harry, but the symbiote suit says nah. Then it rips out Kraven's blade that was still inside of Peter. I don't know how there isn't any blood on that, but I guess the symbiote is a dishwasher too. They pretty quickly realize that Connors knows the most about the symbiote, so their only choice is really to find him and cure him before Harry starts getting sick again. Then we're dumped back outside and we unlock a new suit trophy for obtaining the black suit. Anyway, the first thing on the mega to-do list here is to find Kraven because he has the serum needed to create a cure for Connors. He's having a party to celebrate the villains he's killed so far and his victory in taking over New York for the most part. I don't know. Peter doesn't have a tux to sneak into the event, but for some reason the symbiote can.
Oh, what the fuck?
Kraven has a pet tiger. That tracks.
Peter finds some late-stage chemotherapy medication. This explains Kraven's motive. He wants to die in an honorable way rather than just getting sick, I guess. There's also a letter saying he's at a cathedral for a ceremony, so...
You should ice that.
This is the greatest.
After getting to the church, Peter... Yeah, that. After dealing with him and finally entering the church, Peter gets the serum. At the cost of Kraven discovering the symbiote's weakness to sounds. He dips out of there with the serum, and next step is to create a cure. On my way to create the cure, I did a crime. I stopped a crime, which pushed me over the 10,000th tech part and gave me the resourceful trophy for getting me 10,000th tech part.
The other Spider-Man appreciates what you do.
After that, I started grinding the hell out of the Mysteriums, getting to the last one, which is this really cool fight shrunk down inside of a snow globe of New York. After defeating Mysterio in there, Miles breaks into the control room and discovers that Mysterio actually isn't behind this. That motherfucker was trapped in a closet while his assistants Betsy and Cole intentionally sabotaged the machines for some reason. Mysterio drops some heavy wisdom on Miles.
So can I tell everyone Mysterio's a good guy now?
Mysterio will always be a villain, just as Spider-Man will always be a hero. It's when you start looking at the people behind the masks that things get messy.
And then we unlock the trophy named after that quote for doing the last Mysterio. Right after that, I went to complete the last Prowler stash, where Miles finds blueprints for his apartment, which leads him to believe the Paroler is not actually reformed. Getting to his apartment, he finds his dad's records missing and then hears them coming from upstairs, so he goes to check it out.
Miles?
Bro, why did he run in like that? Anyway, you find out he's been working with Miles' mom to move into the building. Luckily, the Paroler is still out and not back in prison for now, but that unlocks our 15th trophy, co-signing, because his mom co-signed Aaron's lease. Back to the lizard stuff. At the Emily May Foundation, the cure is basically done. It's just a bit unstable, so they need to
Beam a few electrons in there. It's not like we have a
Particle accelerator? That'd be like using a shotgun for a haircut.
You could have said a chainsaw. What do you mean a shotgun, dude? The particle accelerator is kind of in the gutter, so it needs to be fixed from the inside.
Relax and be a good proton.
Huh?
Stay positive.
After putting out like 10 fires, the antidote is complete, but there are 67 goddamn shutdown steps for it, or the antidote gets eviscerated, I guess. Good thing Peter and Harry can just wait for those 67 steps and chill out. Yeah, the antidote had a tracker on it, my bad.
Okay, before we get down to business, there's something I have to tell you. I'm fresh out of honey.
The antidote's finally done, and yeah, the entire building's basically destroyed. This is another side mission introduction, basically bird drones that Kraven is making search for certain people. And honestly, fuck these things, dude. All you do is wingsuit after them. There's like 10 of them, and they're by far the most boring side mission. After Miles catches it, he realizes all of the targets have been combined into one file, so he needs to find the rest and separate them to get to them before Kraven does. I'm gonna stop talking about them before I throw up, though. Here we pick back up on the stolen instruments from the museum. The investor is caught on a roof talking to the thieves. After a little bit of... the dude is sent to the slammer. Then you can walk around and look at all the instruments, which completes the storyline and gets us a trophy called My Community. A bit after that, I finished the last hunter base, which unlocks the Seek and Destroy trophy. The storyline for these is basically that Kraven's children all killed each other for the right to come to New York and help their dad, I think. Right after that, I completed the final bird drone chase mission thing, which leads us to a penthouse all trapped up that was meant for Kraven. We find out through a PA system that this is the chameleon, who's Kraven's brother. As you can probably guess, he impersonates people. They'll probably expand on this in the DLC or something, but for now, that's the data collector trophy done and dusted. Right after that, I completed the last FNSM app activity. That's a lot to say, but these are basically just really mundane things. That's the point of them though. This is just street level stuff to help the community. You help this one lady find her grandpa who ran off. You help these guys who were setting off fireworks for their brother's birthday because they were sold some shady illegal stuff that blew up in their faces. And then this last one, which is helping an old blind woman find out what creature keeps destroying things in her backyard. You follow its trail and you find out it's one of Kraven's dog drones, but Genki wipes its memory, then uploads an AI algorithm or something that watched a bunch of dog videos on YouTube. You then give this old blind woman a mechanical dog meant to kill supervillains. Like, I get it was basically factory reset, but this is diabolical behavior, bro. If the thing gets hacked from across the street, this woman is done. Anyway, after finishing that, we unlocked the FSNM trophy. Moving back to the symbiote stuff, Peter's on his way to Connor's house to search for him there. Believe it or not, Connors is not here though.
Connors was here, all right. And fighting for his life by the looks of it.
Why? Because some trash cans are knocked over? Yeah, okay, never mind. He was fighting for... Yeah, that's my bad. Heading into the slightly creepy basement, Connors has an entire lab down here, presumably to study himself and make sure another outburst doesn't happen. Connors is across the river. Miles gets to the location around the same time as the hunters, so we're gonna have to throw hands a bit for parental rights at Connors. After that, Genki takes control of one of the bird drones since they're programmed to find the lizard. We now begin the long pursuit of Connors while fighting with the hunters at the same time. Lizard escapes into the sewer. Peter follows the tracker into the sewers to look for him. Ew, bro, that shit's like the pacifier when he... They actually tie Connors into the story really well by showing his obsession with trying to improve humans through non-human organisms. He personally was obsessed with lizards, but you think he's not going to be interested in the capabilities of some alien goo from space? Anyway, he has this pretty sick looking rock that the symbiote is interested in locked up in a container. Power goes out, so Peter goes to fix it, but... During this boss fight, we unlock our 20th trophy, Surge. We're using 25 of the symbiote abilities while in the symbiote Surge Kratos rage thing.
Think of your wife! Your son!
This boss fight does not end in defeating the lizard. Instead, he screeches, which is at the same frequency that the symbiote doesn't like. So he escapes and we gotta... There's this really cool and kind of disturbing scene where they fall through the street and it breaks Peter's arm. So the symbiote resets it. Anyway, after one more boss fight, Peter's finally able to inject Connors with the antidote through his gums because his skin's too tough, and the lizard has been tamed. Connors tries to show the rock to Peter, but the symbiote says... There's a flashback showing how Connors lost his arm here. Basically, the symbiote crashed on Earth, Connors approached it, it grabbed him, and then... This is where Peter also finds out the symbiote is an alien.
We need to destroy it.
Destroy us?
Oh. We then unlocked the medicine trophy for completing that mission. Peter says he's tired like 50 times and we head home for a quick power nap. Not only is Peter still in the suit, but the dude's sleeping in it. Oh yeah, that's just weird. The hunters track Peter back to the house. The symbiote starts autopiloting and hunting the hunters, so Miles shows up to hopefully stop it. He seals Mary Jane and Peter in a tunnel alone, and now she's just trapped in a tunnel with an angry alien. Outside of the tunnel, Miles is trying to deal with the hunters and help any civilians caught in the crossfire. He saves a fallen construction worker who turns out to be one of the hunters. In the end, Mary Jane gets away, but Miles does not. Peter then finds out that Mary Jane wrote an article for the Daily Bugle, basically saying,
"I can't stand Spider-Man! I can't stand him! I hate him!"
After that, Miles' mom calls Peter because Miles is missing, and Peter says,
Why can't anyone take care of themselves? It's always up to me.
Then he stops by her office and she basically says,
Man, if you don't cut that shit out.
Then we switch back to Miles, who's being held captive in a hunter base, God knows where. I thought this was about to be like a Batman Arkham Knight room of enemies. They clear the path to a door which leads to an arena. Oh yeah, he's here too. After kicking Lee's ass for a bit, he pulls Miles into his negative realm thing. And here he starts trying to figure out who Miles is by having people in his life shit talk him, which is hilarious. While they're all ganging up on him, Miles releases this huge burst of energy, which the game calls reverse flux. Immediately, we unlock a trophy called Overdrive for affecting 6 or more enemies with this attack.
I'm the kid whose dad you killed at City Hall.
Then the Evolved trophy I mentioned earlier for defeating 100 enemies with the Evolved Venom attacks.
He died because you decided your problems.
Back to the story, Miles breaks out of this negative realm thing and I think stole some of Lee's powers. With Lee defeated, Miles can finally end his personal hunt and he kills Martin Lee. Back to Peter's search for Miles. No, I'm just joking. Miles helped him escape and told him to let Peter know where he is. Switching back to Peter, we earn the Another Way trophy for completing that mission. Lee decides to go to Feast, so we head over there. On the way, Connors calls Peter and says the symbiote needs to be removed because it's already warping his mind. Peter's response?
I'm busy.
Also on the way there, I found the last spider bot and Genki gets the address to a random alley. In this alley, an interdimensional Into the Spider-Verse style portal opens up and all of the spider bots are sucked in. They don't really explain much, but yeah, all the bots were from different dimensions. Anyway, that gets us the Funky Wireless Protocols trophy. I wonder how they knew Lee was at Feast. Peter immediately tries to attack him, but somehow the symbiote's completely ineffective against his negative abilities. He tells Peter where Miles is, and on the way, Mary Jane calls too.
Not now, MJ.
Getting to the building Miles is being held at, Peter immediately hulks out. He goes a little Batman on the last guy and enters the building, immediately being trapped in an unbreakable cage by Kraven. Temu-ass cage. After slapping Kraven around for a bit, the bell is brought out. All you have to do is just web it up and it's back to... Peter then tries to... But Miles stops him and we switch control to him. This boss fight's probably one of the best in the entire game. Fighting one of those characters you've only played as so far is such a weird feeling. You go from trying to stop the bell ringing as Peter to using it to your advantage as Miles. Switching back to Peter, he rips that symbiote off and chucks it. Miles throws it in a little to-go box so they can get the fuck out of there. Finally free of the symbiote and Kraven's captivity, Peter immediately starts apologizing. Miles gets it though, and they're all good. Right after that mission ends, we unlock the Great Hunt trophy for completing it. At the same time, we reach the max level, which is 60, and unlock the Amazing trophy.
I got the suit off.
And then basically immediately after that, I unlock the last suit tech upgrade, which unlocks the fully loaded trophy. Connors tells Peter to bring the symbiote to Oscorp Tower so he can destroy it. At Oscorp, Peter sniffs around a little, but there's a white man jump scare. Believe it or not, Harry would rather be changed by the symbiote and live than just straight up die. He puts a little crack in the container while swinging his cane at Peter, and yep, that'll do it. We then get probably the coolest and most ominous scene in the whole game. He launches the hell out of Peter and we get to play as Venom! God damn, boy. Venom jumps out of Oscorp Tower, taking a hunter gunship down into Times Square. And we do a little bit more. This goes on for a bit until Kraven shows up. Unfortunately, this boss fight sucks ass, dude. It's extremely mind-numbingly easy. Kraven just spams like 3 attacks, which are really easy to parry. And then after enough parries, you beat him up a little bit, and then he auto-stuns you and backs away. It just goes on for too long, and you're pressing the same 3 buttons. They do at least give him a satisfying ending. Harry starts tweaking a little bit and goes to visit his mother's grave to hallucinate a plan that Venom cooked up. Yeah, this is where the game kind of loses me a ton. The pace from this point onward is like 0 to 100 and it just gets weird. Anyway, moving on. Completing that mission gets us the Leave Us Alone trophy. Peter wakes up from his nap and tries to use Harry's EMF badge to pinpoint his location. He finds the badge, but not Harry. This is when the symbiote nests pop up all over. They get a little repetitive, but there's not that many of them, and they're pretty chill. Switching to Mary Jane, Jonah loves the article of her shitting on Peter, believe it or not. Peter calls her to let her know that Harry is now a giant creature with meaty toes and to stay away from him, but... Peter gets home, and there's actually a pretty tense scene of Harry kind of messing around a little and pretending nothing's wrong.
Pete, you look tense. Coffee?
Peter throws out a poor choice of words and upsets Venom a little bit.
We need to get that thing off you.
Do not call us a thing.
And this kind of pisses me off, because I get the instinct of wanting to take a metaphorical bullet for someone you love, but this has got to be the dumbest decision MJ has made in these games. And then Peter forgets he's Spider-Man for a second or something. He gets stuck under this fridge like, bro, Mary Jane is being administered 19 inches of venom, and Peter's in the other room like... Anyway, Venom drags her behind a table and symbiotifies her. He turns her into a symbiote called Scream, which I don't know very much about, but I think it's an interesting idea to use Mary Jane for it. She's pretty cool looking, and the fight is centered around her being sick of having to make sacrifices because Peter is Spider-Man. It's also just a pretty fun fight considering how playing on the hardest difficulty kind of ruined most of them. God damn, boy! Anyway, Mary Jane breaks away from the symbiote pretty fast, and that gives us the next trophy called I Quit, because she quit the Daily Bugle right after getting it off. Pretty impulsive if you ask me, but okay. Venom starts taking over City Hall, but Peter and Miles say to that. I like to point out, they're just supposed to be trying to neutralize the symbiotes and get the people out safely. The symbiotes absolutely dogpile Peter. Miles tries to help, but he also gets dogpiled until none other than Martin Lee saves them. Venom somehow puts Peter in a goo cocoon, so Lee makes a little bubble around them and enters his mind to try to get rid of the symbiote. They're in this dark, twisted, fucked up version of New York, dude. It's so scary. They have to find the source of Peter's pain to get him out for some reason. They find this weird heart-looking thing, which Lee says is the source. Miles and Lee work together to fry that bitch up sizzling. Miles gives him a little poke in. Holy shit, he's white. Anyway, moving on. We get a trophy called Antidote for using the antivenom abilities while Peter absolutely dogs these symbiotes.
Whoa, what is this?
At this point, I decided to finish the Flame storyline, so I'm just going to quickly recap what happens because it was really uneventful. Basically, the Flame is a cult and the Wraith is beefing with them. You find out the Wraith is Yuri, the police chief from the first game. After a ton of really uneventful missions, the Crimson Hour, which is the cult stealing a symbiote sample, unfolds and you stop that together. They were planning to blow up the train carrying it, but you derail it, which still accomplishes their goal. The leader of the cult gets the symbiote sample and reveals something chilling.
And when the Crimson Hour rolls over this earth, it shall bring truth, judgment, and carnage.
And that's basically it. It's like 4 missions, 3 of which you spend clearing out bases trying to find Cletus, I think. I don't know if they actually revealed his name to be that, but he's fulfilling that role, so whatever. Either way, completing this mission earns us the Crimson Hour trophy. Woo! Then I bought the last gadget upgrade, which unlocks a trophy called To the Max. Right after that, I finished the last symbiote nest and unlocked the Exterminator trophy, along with the Superior trophy for 100%ing every district in the game. Anyway, moving on from side stuff, Connors calls Peter and says,
Help! Help me! Help!
Inside of his lab, Venom is looking for that weird looking rock from earlier. He gets the rock and fuses them together. Then Connors tells Peter Harry's gone. The only way to stop Venom at this point is to kill Harry. So as an explanation for what the rock is, because I barely know, basically the symbol on it is connected to Null, who is the overlord or god of the symbiotes. I'm not really sure why, but fusing them together did this to New York. This is where the game kind of goes off the rails though. Venom's involvement here has been pretty far off from the comics and what's expected of him, which is whatever, but why did they need stakes this high? Harry being consumed by an alien and hating Peter wasn't concerning enough? It just feels a little weak as far as a high stakes final act goes to me. Anyway, enough of my garbage opinions and ramblings. Miles and Peter meet up to talk about the fuck they're gonna do in... Yeah, this is when that god-awful suit comes in. I just think there's too much going on with it, and I don't really like the more than implied idea of it only being added as a collab with Adidas. You can see a fully modeled Adidas store in-game, and I think they started selling everything except the mask as merch right after the game dropped. It even invaded the PS Stars collectible you get for buying and playing the game. A very useless criticism, but come on bro, a shoe? And to make it even worse, Miles says,
It's time for a Miles Morales original, you know? One of one.
That shit's ass, bro.
But I thought that's what the black suit was for, the one he made in his own game right before this. I get it was still modeled after Peter's suit, but why even make that one if he was just gonna decide it wasn't Miles enough for him? Alright, enough complaining and ranting. Peter goes off to look for the rock, and Miles tries to clear some of the nests out. He gets pulled into this thing, which is where you go when the symbiote tries to take over. While fighting with the hive mind, Miles sees where the rock is. I'm not showing the picture anymore, it's probably not funny. Venom showed Peter where the rock actually is while trying to corrupt him, so they decide to meet up again to make another plan. I guess, man, I don't know what they're doing at this point. Before that though, I decided to get a trophy which requires you to glide from the financial district all the way to Astoria using nothing but your web wings. I tried to get it way earlier in the game, but I figured you needed some kind of late game stuff to get it, which you don't really. But in like 2 or 3 attempts, I did it and obtained the coveted soar trophy. So to start the plan, Peter lures Venom out of his cave because of Harry's attachment to Peter and wanting to heal the world together. Then Miles distracts the guards in front of the cave so Mary Jane can run in. Dumbest fucking idea, bro. She shoots a rock with a sonic bomb and it just drops it for her. One of these cheeked up fellas are deployed to stop her, but you know she survives this and gets out because she has the Dave & Buster's sound blaster, I guess. Switching to Peter, he lures Venom to their high school. He lifts the entire school area up into the sky, which is a pretty cool visual, but like, why does Venom have this much power? It just feels unnecessary and weird to give him so much to use to win, as if him being a 10-foot tall huge alien wasn't enough. Anyway, trying to steer away from my incessant hating, I like this portion of the boss fight with Venom. This is actually so f***ing cool though. I don't know if Venom has had wings before, but I feel like this is way more of a realistic expansion of the symbiote's abilities than... See, this is where I'd be tweaking if I was Miles, bro. This is a genuinely scary position to imagine being in. Believe it or not, Harry does actually die.
I love you. I'm sorry.
Then Norman pulls up and starts tweaking, yelling at Peter for some reason. Connor said the only way to stop Venom was to kill Harry, and Peter avoided that, so I don't understand why this is his fault. Damn, this guy's son enters a coma and he just shows up in the hardest fit you've ever seen him in. Mary Jane gives a monologue, which is for a podcast she's starting since she quit the Daily Bugle, and she just uploads that audio raw. No editing, no equalizing, no nothing, bro. If I did that, it'd be 90%, yeah, so, you know. Peter shows Mary Jane that he converted their garage into a mini Emily May foundation, and then tells Miles he doesn't really want to be Spider-Man anymore. And with that, the main story's mostly over, so we unlock the Heal the World trophy. And well, that's technically the end of the story. No platinum? Oh, you remember the side quest for doing EMF experiments? There are 9 of them, but you can only do 8 until this point, where Mary Jane calls Peter to let him know Norman dropped off a gift. As only the very observant and intelligent may have figured out, this is indeed the final EMF experiment. Back at May's house, we can finally do the last one. Harry pops up on a recording to tell Peter he made this in the very likely case the symbiote turns out to be a dud. He gives Peter bark from his mom's tree along with one of May's flowers so he can hopefully combine them and make them into one plant. It's a cute idea. Slight problem though, I was a little tired at this point, and I shit you not, it took me almost 10 entire minutes to solve this.
Hooray!
Harry also leaves Peter a weirdly scary looking suit. I kind of like it in design, but I wouldn't personally use it. This game has a severe lack of cool and interesting suits. A lot of them are just movie suits that nobody really wanted, but you'd still get a ton of complaints if they weren't in here. But more negativity aside, that's the last EMF experiment, so we unlock the foundational trophy for doing all of those. Then right after that, we unlock the kitted out trophy for unlocking every suit. Then we need to head all the way south to Trinity Church where Miles and Finn met in SMMM, yeah, I'm calling it that, to find the trophy they won at their science fair, which unlocks its own trophy called Just Let Go. And finally, I switched to Peter to swing all the way north to the Harlem Cemetery to find May and Uncle Ben's graves, which unlocks our final trophy, You Know What to Do. This of course in turn unlocks the Platinum Trophy dedicated and puts an end to my time with this game. I make it sound depressing, but I mean, it's not like I'll replay it without updates. So in a timeline of the game, here's when I unlocked each trophy. Keep in mind, this is including when I just had the game paused, but it was still open. It took me around 3 weeks to platinum because I didn't play a ton, and this video has taken me about 6 months to get out, but we're here, baby. Overall, I do think this game was just a huge missed opportunity. It kind of feels like the Resident Evil 3 remake, where all you can really think of is what it would have been if they could have did exactly what they wanted. I would have really liked a more horror focused type of story where Venom is just killing people at night and Peter and Miles are trying to figure out what's going on with that. Like, imagine free roaming at night and then you just see Venom in an alley biting someone's head off, or you go to like launch over a building and it's like the Arkham Knight jump scare where Venom just pops up and throws you and then disappears. I don't know, this might be the worst concept for a game anyone's ever heard, but regardless, this is what we got, and it was pretty lackluster. I still had some fun with it, but as I've said like 30 times, I wish it was just a bit more fleshed out and there were more interesting objectives that you had to do. Either way, I still love my collector's edition statue, and yeah, that's about all I got. Hopefully you enjoyed me being a hater for like an hour.